Hello and welcome to the class. So today we are going to discuss a very important teaching method, that is problem solving method. So it is one of the method which is mostly used in teaching of sciences, but also can be used in other subjects like teaching of social sciences. So the learning objectives for today's class is to understand the concept of problem solving method, to analyze the process which is involved in the problem solving method, and also the student teachers will be able to learn the use of new teaching strategies so that they can bring innovation in their classrooms. So let us first introduce what the problems are and why problem solving skills are necessary, because in our life we look at problems in different ways. So such as we have problems in our classroom, in our daily lives, little problems of discipline, problem of irregularity or punctuality. Any problem can occur amongst us. So classroom problem solving activities can be a great way to get students prepped up and ready to solve real problems in real life scenarios. So we all have heard the famous story of the thirsty crow, that how for the water, for as he was thirsty, he took out some ideas, he developed some ideas, and how he was able to drink water at the end. So this is how we have to reach to the solution, by bringing out various alternatives, and this is how we can solve any problem. So we will later in this class, later part, we will discuss how problem solving strategies can be adopted by the students, can be taught by the teachers, and after that critical analysis, these kind of skills could be developed among the students. So this basically is the ability to critically analyze a problem and map out all its elements and then prepare a solution that works in one of the most valuable manner. So whether in school, work, or in our social relationships, this critical analysis is very much necessary, and a workable solution to be taken out of the problem. See, after we go through a problem, we will face many kinds of alternatives. We will find out many kinds of alternatives. And out of these alternatives, we have to find the correct one. We have to choose the right one so that it can be acquired in life, or it can be it should seem as like the correct solution to the problem. So educating our students about the problem solving skills from a younger age in school uh, should be facilitated through classroom problem solving activities. So such endeavors encourage not only cognitive but also the social development among students. It can equip our students with the tools they will need to address and solve problems throughout the rest of their lives. So these kind of skills, small skills which they are learning in their classrooms, are going to help in their rest of life. So it is basically, problem solving is a process to choose and use the effective and beneficial tool and behaviors among the different potentialities and where we have to reach the target. So it can contain scientific method, critical thinking, taking of decisions, examining, reflective thinking. So all these kinds of skills are required for our 21st century learners. So this method is usually used in the process of solving a problem, to generalize or to make synthesis. So it is one of the higher order thinking skills. So here in this kind of method, the children learn by working on problems. So we can say that it is one of the learner-centered teaching pedagogy, because the children are learning by doing themselves. This enables them to learn new knowledge by facing the problems which can be solved. They should not see that if there is a problem, they will not be able to find a solution. They should be taught that there are solutions to every problem. So how they will learn that? They are expected to observe, understand, analyze, interpret, find solutions, and also perform applications so that they can lead to a holistic understanding of the total concept. So this method develops scientific process skills, because if we have to reach to a solution, then we need to follow some scientific path. So that doesn't mean that we have to find out solution on the basis of science only, but scientific process means that it should be planned, well planned. It should be properly organized, and by going systematic, and at the end there should be a proper result with evidence. So these kind of scientific process skills should be developed. So it is a kind of, we can say, a kind of brainstorming, so that a student is forced to find out various solutions, forced to go through various resources. It is an ongoing activity because it is a process in which we take what we know to discover what we don't know. So there will be few things which a student will be knowing, and there will be few things which he or she has to find out, to discover on their own. So this is how they will try to find out the solution to any problem. So it involves overcoming of all barriers, obstacles, by generating a hypothesis, a general assumption, testing those predictions, and arriving at satisfactory solutions that yes, this solution will be the best for this problem. So now we will take a look at a few definitions of problem solving method. According to M.N. Singh and S.B. Maheshwari, problem solving is planned attack on difficulty for finding out satisfactory solution. So if we have to follow the problem solving method, then it should be planned properly, and then there should be a satisfactory solution to the problem. Next definition is given by Gates, and he says a problem exists for an individual when he has a definite goal. Every individual tries to have a definite goal, which he cannot reach by the behavior pattern which he already has available. So this is why it is a problem, that he is not able to reach his goal because of the certain behavioral patterns which are already existing, which are already available. Now he has to adopt some other ways, some other routes, so that he can reach to that definite goal. So there are two phases in problem solving. If we talk about in classroom situation, it can be viewed in two phases. Like it can be done in the way of thinking, the way how we think, how we perceive, and also a way of teaching, how a teacher is going to convey that situation to the students, how they will be able to make their students take out solutions, bring out solutions. So here are the certain characteristics of problems in a learning situation. So any problem posed before the learners mostly will contain the following characteristics if they are valuable on the basis of education. So such problems should be, whatever are discussed with the students or given to a student should be clear and definite. There should be no confusion. Challenging and hence interest generating. So there should be something challenging to be done. This should not be simple, as simple that they will just go to internet or go to library and get a solution. They should ponder upon it. They should do some brainstorming. So it should generate interest in it. Yes, the most important point is it should be suitable to the age, needs, and all the physical and mental capabilities of the students. It should also be related to actual life situations. There should be no theoretical problems should be posed before the students. It should be based on real actual life situations. And it should be totally understandable to the students who are going to face it. So this is why it should be actual life situations, so that the students know that this is a common problem which we are facing, and how now we have to bring out the solution for that. It should be thought provoking. They should be able to think why, what, how. So these kind of questions should come in their mind. It should correct it to the existing knowledge of the learners. Yes, it should be connected with the existing knowledge. It should not be above their age, above their mental level. It should be with the existing, at par with the existing knowledge of the learners. It should be worthwhile and of practical value. So at the end, the students must learn that whatever they have perceived, what is the solution to this problem, what is the reason of this problem, what kind of solutions are better for this problem, and why this problem has happened. So all these practical values and practical questions should come in their mind. It should be workable with the resources available. So the problems should be such that the students do not face such issues that they are not able to find out the solutions. They do not know how to proceed, where to proceed. So there should be some resources available, and the teachers can introduce the students to the resources. They can also provide them with some resources, some notes, some references, or some online websites or online libraries, or the school library. It should be feasible within the time available. So the problem should be such, it should be completed, the solution should be taken out within a time frame. So for this, a proper planning should be done by the teacher, so that they know that in how much time they want this whole procedure to be completed. So now we will discuss the various steps of problem solving method. And the first step is understanding of the problem. So it's important that students understand the nature of the problem, what the goal they have to achieve, what is the problem they have to see. Encourage students so that they can frame the problem in their own words. They do not depend on what you have told, but they should know that this problem needs to be solved and we need to understand it in our own way. Then the next step is describing of any barriers. So this is very important that the students need to find out what kind of obstacles are there in this solution to bring out solution, what are the barriers. So they need to be aware of that. What constraints are there that they will not be able to reach to the solution. So it may prevent them from reaching to their goal. So first of all, they have to remove all the barriers, what is creating the problem. And they will then, if they have found out this, they will be able to proceed to the next step. Then the next step in problem solving method is identify various solutions. Now they have understood the nature, they have found out what are the barriers, they are trying to remove those barriers. Now after that, they have to find the various solutions, because for one problem there may be various solutions. There is not a single solution every time. So after the nature and parameters of a problem are understood, students will need to select one or more appropriate strategies which will help in resolving the problem. So students need to understand that they have many strategies available to them, and there is no single strategy which will work for all problems. So they have to, according to the nature and parameter, they have to find out what kind of solution can be given to this problem. So here are some possibilities and techniques which could be adopted by the students while finding out the solutions, correct solutions. Like the first one is the creating of visual images. Many problem solvers find it useful to create mind pictures, as we have discussed in one of the classes about the concept mapping. So this is very important. Whatever is coming in the minds of the students, they are able to visually present in the form of concept mapping. So it will provide potential solutions so that it will help in the working of the problem. Mental imaging also allows the problem solvers to map out many dimensions of a problem, and they will be able to see it clearly. So if there are any doubts, if they are not able to put it in front of anyone, then they will be able to do that in the form of creating visual images. Then the next step is guesstimate. And guesstimate means it is a combined word of guessing and estimate. So they have to guess the estimate. So it gives students the opportunities to engage in some trial and error approaches to problem solving. So it is not always necessary that a student will be able to find a solution and that this will be the final one. So they may try, and it may be not correct. A teacher may not approve it, or if it is being done, this approach is being done in a group, the group may not approve it. So at that time they should be ready to find out new solutions, find out new things. So this is not a singular approach to problem solving, but rather it is a kind of a gathering of a preliminary data. Then the next technique which could be adopted by the students can be preparation of a table. That can be done on Excel sheet or on a piece of paper. So they can orderly, arrange data. So when they have opportunities to design and create tables of information, they begin to understand that they can group and organize most data which is related to a problem. Use manipulatives. So here they can prepare a situation by moving objects around on a table or desk. They can develop patterns or identify patterns. They can organize elements of a problem into recognizable and visually satisfying components. Work backward. Yes, they are going forward, but if they adopt this technique, so it also helps students to find out a proper solution. So they can start with the solution first. They take the data presented at the end of a problem and use a series of computations to arrive at the data presented at the beginning of the problem. So in this way also they can solve a problem. Look for a pattern. This is very important. They have to identify which is the right way, what is the problem, and what is expected from them. So after giving many thoughts, they will be able to find out what kind of pattern, is it a similar pattern, or it falls into a predictable patterns. So a pattern is a regular systematic repetition and may be numerical, visual, or behavioral. They can also create a systematic list because it is very necessary. Whatever efforts they are taking, whatever efforts they are carrying out, it should be prepared in a systematic manner. So recording information in list form is a process used quite frequently to map out a plan of attack for defining and solving problems. It encourages students to record their ideas in list to determine regularities, patterns, or similarities between problem elements. So this is how they will be able to have a record in front of them, and they can choose a better way to proceed. Then the next step which comes in the problem solving method is the trying out of the solution. So after trying out many of the techniques, now they will try out a solution. So when working through a strategy or combination of strategies, it will be important for students to keep accurate and up-to-date records of their thoughts, proceedings, procedures. And then recording the data collected, they have to prepare some predictions. The strategies used is an important part of problem solving process. Try to work through a selected strategy or combination of strategies until it becomes evident that it's not working. So you have to find out, you have to go through trial and error methods, whether they needs to be modified or it is yielding inappropriate data. So as students become more proficient problem solvers, they should feel comfortable rejecting potential strategies at any time during their quest for solutions. So till now, after doing this kind of exercises, they will be knowing that what is right and what is wrong, and how they can reject which is not appropriate. They will be able to monitor with great care the steps undertaken as part of a solution. Although it might be a natural tendency for students to rush through a strategy so that they arrive at a quick answer, so that they finish this strategy or the project which has been given to them. and through this strategy they want to arrive at a quick answer. But a teacher here comes in the role, and they need to encourage the students to carefully assess and monitor their progress, so that do not rush, and take your time, whatever time period has been given. Take advices from your teachers, or you can go through the team leader if the work is being done in the team. So this is how they should know the value, what the work they are carrying out. Feel comfortable putting a problem aside for a period of time and tackling at a later time. So there may be some period that they think that they are not getting success in doing something. So they can take a break and then start again. So this is also a part of training to them. So for example, we can say scientists rarely come up with a solution the first time they approach a problem. So we can quote recent examples of the vaccination trials which have been done by various countries, and there are certain developed countries also who are not able to come up with an accurate vaccination at the first time. So that doesn't mean that they have stopped working or finding out the new approaches. They are still working it. They are still trying to find out. So like this, scientists also not come up with a solution at the first time. So they also do it again and again until they reach the solution. So students should also feel comfortable letting a problem rest for a while and then return to it later. So this is okay with them. Then the next step is evaluating the results. Now they have found out the options, the solutions. Now they have to evaluate whether the results are okay or not. So it's vitally important that students have multiple opportunities to assess their own problem solving skills and the solutions they generate from using those skills. Frequently, students are overly dependent on teachers to evaluate their performance in the classroom. So this is very important that the teachers need to teach them that how to self-evaluate, how to assess their peers, so that they also know on their own that in which way they are wrong, or if they are going on the wrong path, what should be done to do things correctly. So they should not depend every time on the teachers, that they will only evaluate and tell them that what has to be done, what you have not done, what should be done. So the process of self assessment is not easy actually. It involves risk taking, self assurance, and a certain level of independence. So these all skills are needed to be taught to our students. But it can be effectively promoted by asking students questions such as, how do you feel about your progress so far? Are you satisfied the results you obtained? Why do you believe this is an appropriate response to the problem? So that if they have not done the problems or the process in their honest way, in an organized or systematic way, they will not be able to answer that. So they must be ready, that they should know what kind of progress they have done, what are their weaknesses, what are their strengths, are they satisfied with the work which they have done, how could they have improved that, what kind of appropriate solution they would suggest. So this is how the evaluation of results will be done, and the criteria will be selected by the teachers only. Now, teachers' role is very important in this method. What is their role now? Maintain the spirit of discovery among students. They have to continuously assess whatever they are doing, and they have to maintain the spirit by which the students are working, going through their process to discover new things. They have to maintain that spirit. Give proper guidance to the students from the beginning till the solutions is reached. So this is very important. There have to be a proper guide to the students regarding that. Extend optimum help to each student in case difficulties are experienced. And if the students are doing it for the first time, so they will definitely face difficulties, but maximum help can be provided by the teachers, and so that the students are not stuck at same problems, same places, and it will help them to overcome the difficulties. Supply only extra information regarding the problem. Do not try to spoon feed them. Try to give information or hints or such information which are related to the problem only. Establish rapport with students for the smooth completion of the work. This is very important. The students will do the work when you try to be friendly with them. You create a friendly environment in the class. You try to establish rapport with the students. When you are involved in some activity, the students will definitely take your guidance and smoothly complete the work. Provide encouragement and appreciation. This is required by everyone, so this should be done by the teacher also. He or she should appreciate different solutions and strategies. Never discourage students. Encourage them to find multiple solutions to a problem, so that they don't take shortcuts and just try to find out only few solutions. Encourage students to take time to solve any problems. Compliment them for good problem solving strategies, whether they reach a solution or not. So this is very important for the next time. They should feel motivated. Make sure that students know what a compliment or praise specifically relates to about the problem and problem solving. They should know that when you are trying to guide them, you are trying to motivate them, in what way you are praising them, or what way you are complimenting them. So encourage students to keep trying and to learn by correcting their mistakes. So this is very important. They have to learn that if they have made mistake, they have to learn how to correct them. Do not let them as it be. Let students know the problem solving is difficult and rewarding. Let them know that it is not only a method to pass a time. This is a very important thing which will be important in their later part of life. Share and discuss attitudes and dispositions that are conducive to problem solving. So at the end, always try to discuss in a class that what kind of attitude have developed among the students, what problems they have faced, what is the correct conclusion by the activity which have been carried out, if individually or in the form of groups. They will present their presentations. They will be able to discuss, they will be able to answer all the questions or the queries which you have been asking or the class is asking. So this is how, by discussing, the teaching learning process can be made effective. You can ask questions that encourage students to think divergently. Uh, Mainly students think in a certain way. After the advent of internet, it has been become very easy to find out everything on Google. Just search on Google. But they have to learn how to think originally, how to think in different ways, not only in one way. Explain how they are thinking, what they are thinking, what are their plans. They will share their strategies. Ask them, encourage them, that they do not just do their work silently. They share everything. Think of other ways that the same problem could be asked. Think of real life problems that are or related to the problem. So in this way, various questions could be asked to the students. Discover different problems that can be solved with the same strategy. Discover multiple ways to solve the problem. They have to learn to reflect upon their performances, check upon their solutions, reflect on the problems which they have gone through, discuss how they imagined a certain strategy might be possible. So they should have evidence behind every solution which they have done. Explain why they have confidence in their solutions, why they have reached to a certain conclusion. So basically, though, two types of strategies are used in problem solving method, that are induction and deduction. So induction means it is like teaching with discovering method. Here the cases are observed carefully. Similarities and dissimilarities are found. And then you can reach the general rule or the law or the techniques from by identifying the similarities and dissimilarities. So this is how we reach to the uh, general concept, generalization. So this induction is basically based on generalization, and deduction is a reverse of induction technique. Some general laws and rules are already reached before discussing the similarities or dissimilarities, and the students want them to apply this method to different singular case. The convenience of it to the one of the case is controlled mentally. Convenience is this, that they know that what they are going to do, already a rule or the procedure have been showed to them, discussed with them. So every method has certain advantages, disadvantages, and limitations. This method also has some advantages and disadvantages. Let us discuss that. So it provides the active participation of the students in teaching learning activity. So this is very important. We need not do not need our uh, classes to be passive. We need them to be active. So for that, we need all our students to be actively participating in this activities. It prepares students to study regularly and in an organized manner. It also provides students to gain scientific view of thinking. Yes, it makes students to be interested in learning because they will be discovering on their own. So they will try to find out interest in the various activities which they are doing. It helps to improve the sense of responsibility of students. It provides students to face the problems boldly and to deal with it in a scientific approach. So this is very important. They should know how to approach things in a scientific manner. It also helps students to adopt the view of benefit from other ideas. And also, if it is a group activity, they should know how to help each other. It predicates the learning to a more logical and doughty foundation. It improves the ability of making proposals and putting forward the hypothesis. They should know what they will be achieving if they make some hypothesis, they assumes, they make some assumptions. It helps students to adopt the idea of not to be hurried to make a decision, because they will take their time, they will analyze, they will try to synthesize, then only they will make a decision. But on the other hand, there are certain disadvantages also. It takes too much time. It is not possible to apply this method to all disciplines. It can load some worldly burdensome to students. Yes, there are certain students who do not know how to proceed. They don't participate in everything, and if it is a group, they depend on the most active students. So it can become burdensome for few students, and it is not possible in all disciplines and in all teaching methods, or all concepts that this method can be carried out. It can be difficult for students to provide the materials and sources which is required for solving the problem. Sometimes there are not enough resources through which they find out, or they come to the conclusion or find out various solutions. Evaluating the learning can be difficult. So apart from the criteria which have been set by the teachers, sometimes it becomes difficult that how to evaluate what they have learned. On the basis of certain questions only, it is not appropriate, we can say appropriately the evaluation has been done. There are certain limitations also, so that maybe at certain times this method is not utilized properly. The limitations are mainly due to ineffective use of this problem solving method, because our teacher trainees are not aware how to utilize this teaching method, how to convey their students that how to utilize this method. So when a classroom is completely teacher dominated, then in such a classroom, the problem solving method will fail. As some teachers are still adopting the teacher dominating teaching methods in the class, so at that time we cannot expect our students to do works or carry out solutions on their own. So in these situations, if the teachers do not take efforts, then problem solving method strategy will definitely fail. Difficult to organize e-contents of syllabus according to this method. So sometimes the teachers are not able to arrange for the resources, the guidance which is required while carrying out this method. It is a time consuming method, whether we give a certain time, but there may be certain students who are very average or slow learners. They may not be able to do it in a limited prescribed time. All topics and areas cannot be covered by this method. This we have discussed, that all disciplines cannot adopt this method. There is a lack of suitable books and references for the students. Yes, because the students do not know how to utilize the library or how to find out the correct website on the internet. So there may be lack of these resources. Methods does not suit students of lower classes. Yes, the primary classes or the upper primary may not be able to utilize this method. This is only useful for higher classes. Mental activity dominates this method, hence there is neglect of physical and practical experiences. Yes, this is only based on the cognitive aspect. So the aspects of physical and practical experiences are totally neglected. But still, there may be limitations and disadvantages of this method. But if a teacher wants, with the mixing of various strategies, they can make this method successful in their class, utilize the various teaching methods which they are learning in their training part. So with this, we can, successfully utilize this kind of methods in our class. So in the end, according to Omrod in 2008, we can say, to sum up, there are many problems throughout the world. Some that are very simplistic, while others are very complicated with many details. So in order to be an effective problem solver, a person has to have the ability to use prior problem solving skills on problems in the existing future. So yes, this quote very much defines that there may be problems. Some problems may be simple, some may be complex, complicated. But if there is an effective problem solver, that person will be able to use these skills so that the problems for the existing future can be done away with. So these are the certain references. There are certain Indian and foreign references, international references, which you can go through and find out more about this problem solving method. Now we will move on to our evaluation questions. And the first question is, what the students are not expected to do in problem solving method? The options are observe, understand, analyze, interpret or find solutions, holistic understanding of the concept, prepare unorganized results. So by going through the options, we can clearly mention the wrong answer, that is prepare unorganized results, because we want our students to observe, understand, analyze, interpret, find solutions. Overall holistic understanding should be developed among the regarding the concept. So this answer is wrong, that preparing of unorganized results is never expected after the problem solving method. Which of the following not involves basic functions during problem solving? So the options are seeking of information, generating new knowledge, making decisions, or passing of time. So the correct answers are seeking information, generating new knowledge, making decisions, and the wrong answer is passing of time. We never want our students to just pass their time, waste their time. We want them to get new information, generate some new knowledge, and try to find out new decisions or solutions. Next question is, identify which is not the step of problem solving method. So we have gone through various steps of problem solving method, and the options are understand the problem, describe any barriers, identify various solutions, or use of invalid techniques. So the answer is use of invalid techniques, as the first three are the steps of problem solving method, and this is not the step of problem solving method, that we use invalid techniques which are not valid for us. The next question is, the important step of problem solving method is defining of a problem, collection of adequate data, observation of the events, or all of the above. So here we can see that all the steps are very important in problem solving method. So correct answer is all of the above. Next question is, a student tries to solve a problem without any help from a teacher. The teacher should. What is the role of the teacher now? Options are advise him or her to take help from his or her colleagues, pays no attention to him or her, scold him or her for foolishness, appraises his or her individual effort. So, what a teacher should do exactly if a student is trying to solve a problem without any help from a teacher? He or she should appraises his or her individual effort. They will never advise them to take help from others, or they will it will not be appropriate to not to give attention or scold them, but you should appraise him, encourage him, her to carry out their individual efforts. Next question is, effective teacher is who has control over the class, who can deliver more information in limited period, who inspires students how to learn, who amends carefully the assignment. So who is the effective teacher here? Effective teacher is who inspires students how to learn. So this is the correct answer, and these are the qualities which are required in an effective teacher. A good teacher is one who is capable of finishing the course in time, inducing the students to learn, giving a good result, helping students in preparing good notes. So these are all our duties of the students, teachers definitely, but which one is the option which creates an effective and good teacher? The answer is inducing the students to learn. So whenever a teacher is inspiring, giving advice, give guidance, induces the students to learn, that teacher will be considered as an effective and proficient teacher. Question number 8 is, which of the following attributes denote great strength of a teacher? Full-time active involvement in the institutional management, not setting examples, no willingness to put assumptions to the test, or acknowledging mistakes. So out of this, if we ponder upon very carefully, the correct answer is acknowledging mistakes, because it is a thing which is done by human beings, and it can be done by the teachers also. But by acknowledging it and by improving it, that yes, we need to improve in that mistake, this will become a great strength for the teacher. Question number 9 is, identify the important element a teacher has to take cognizance of while addressing students in a classroom. Options are avoidance of proximity, voice modulation, repetitive pause, or fixed posture. So you have to identify the important element which is very important for a teacher while addressing students. And the correct option is voice modulation, which is very important. If a teacher is energetic, if he tries to bring variety while teaching, what word has to be given emphasis, what sentence have to be given emphasis, how to bring attention to the class, back to the class, if the minds are wandering here and there of the students. So for that, voice modulation is a very important element. Question number 10 is, for recording information, dash is used quite frequently to map out a plan of attack for defining and solving problems. So this, we have discussed various kind of strategies which student need to carry out. So we will go through the options now. Creating a systematic list, try out a solution, evaluate the list, or communication skill. So if we have to record a proper information, if we have to chalk out a plan, we have to go through a plan effectively, then we need to create a systematic list. So with this, we have come to the end of the class, and I hope you will go through the lesson and you will find a very useful information through references, and we will see you in next class. Thank you very much.